Here is the clutch, like I showed you previously, and it is keyed inside. There is a key inside. I don't know if the camera will pick this up. Yeah, I don't think so. It is keyed inside. And as for this, for the shaft, I got this adapter. It came with its own keyway, which there is no need for to use this, so I'm going to keep it aside. This is what it looks like. What I did was, this is the second one. I already put one on the shaft itself, and it's so tight that it doesn't want to come off out again, so I left it as is. So this goes up, this goes on the shaft, that's it. So the shaft is this adapter is 3 inches, and the shaft is 2 inches or so. Yeah, 2 inches. So I had to cut an inch off of this and fit it on it. Okay. So this is that. That's how we dealt with the shaft. Now as for the spacer, when I was at the fabricator, I asked him to this to grind down this. What was this? A big nut. This is just a plumbing nut. He grinded it down and made a hole inside. I don't think the camera is picking this up. Yeah, no, the camera is not picking it up. Anyways, he drilled a hole through, flattened it just enough so that it is enough for, so the clutch doesn't push through, so it stays in place. Also, like I said, the key, it's gonna key itself, and the adapter is not gonna move. It's not gonna go anywhere. And to hold this spacer, I drilled a hole inside the shaft, just a tiny bit, just to hold the point of this screw, the self tapper screw, just for it to stay in there, because I tried all other screws and they all slip. So this is what is gonna work. So what we're going to do is put this on, just like so. Put some thread locker on this, because I don't want it to get undone during vibration, because this engine vibrates a lot. A tiny bit of blue thread locker. Screw this on. Just like that. It will stay in place. It won't go anywhere. Now, with that being there, we'll put the clutch on this way, not the other way around, because once when it sits like this, it's way too out for the chain to stay to be aligned properly. So this is the way it has to be. And this will go on like that. Screw on this bolt just to keep this clutch in place, so it doesn't slide off. And tighten it down. I don't think I have to tighten this super tight, just enough that it doesn't come off. I think that should be enough. Yeah, that should be more than enough. Okay. Also, if you guys remember in the first video, there used to be a filter over here on the throttle body, right about here, and the studs, they were, I think, 2 inches or 1.5 inch longer. So what I did was cut the studs off and put another set of studs which are a bit shorter. So this makes it a lot more compact than it was before. So now I'll put it on the frame and see how much clearance do we have with the stock plate that came with the engine itself. This plate, if that needs any cutting or not, we'll see. I have to notch this area to clear the frame up, because as it's sitting now, it's crooked. I'll have to bring the engine up this way, make it straighten out. So I'll measure how much I need to cut off, and cut that off and refit, and do it a million more times before it's getting the right position to sit in. If you guys will be able to see or not, but I cut off a little bit for it to come forward and sit pretty nicely. See, it clears around here as well. Here's the throttle body. It used to hit the air filter before on the suspension. Bring it up around here. You can see how forward it's sitting. This is the plate that the engine came with. This is how much forward it is sitting. Looks like I'll have to keep something in here so that when I pull this engine, because I don't want to just drill the holes in it now and then find out that the chain isn't straight. So I'll have to keep something in here just to keep the engine forward, so I can determine the length of this chain. Because as it seems now, when I pull, the engine comes back with it. It rocks. It moves. One link off of the chain, and I zip tied this area to the frame, the spot, and put a vice grip on the other end to hold it down on the plate. So I'll check the chain now. Hopefully this shouldn't move anymore. From the looks of it, looks the chain is sitting straight. guys saw, I drilled the holes, and now what I'm going to do is remove the frame with the engine on it so I can tighten it properly, because I can't reach the bolts from underneath. So once I get done with that, then we'll move on to the next big thing, tightening up the chain and making a tensioner for that. Hopefully in this video I'll get to test it and start it up. We're still missing an exhaust, but that's no big deal. Let's figure out something. So yeah, I'll remove the engine now. So as you guys saw, how easy it was to remove the engine with the frame attached. So what I'm gonna do now is, I had this tire tube of this bike itself that got punctured, so I just had it laying around. What I'm going to do now is cut it into pieces and wrap it around the areas where the frame attaches to, so it has some contact of a bit of cushion, so that it doesn't rub through or destroy the frame itself, and some for the engine mount itself, so it's less vibrating, because this engine is going to vibrate like something. So let's get to cutting then. Just like that, the engine is back on. As you guys saw in the video, it was easy, but it would take some practice to do it much easier than I was doing it. I was struggling with it a bit, but anyways, the engine is mounted, still hand tight, because I'm going to remove this and repaint the frame. Here you can see the rubber tube that I cut, 2 bolts down there and 2 bolts through that, 4 bolts total. The engine is not going to move anywhere. Now let's move on to the chain. The chain, as you can see, it has plenty of slack, but if I put a tensioner right, if I put tension right here, it's perfectly fine, not touching anywhere. So for that, I have something which I hope is going to work. I don't really know. I've seen pictures of it on Google, on the internet, and I'm going to make something similar or close to it, probably. So let's get to it. So here's what I have: some plate and a roller wheel, hard plastic roller wheel. So the idea is I make some mount, and so that the chain sits on top of it, something like this. I'll have to make sure that it doesn't touch anywhere, not the frame or the wheel or the rim. So I'll keep you guys on the tripod and I'll figure this out. I came up with. It's just simple, it's not something fancy. If maybe down the line I'll make another one, or if I could find or order another one if it looks hideous or if it doesn't do the job. If it does the job, I wouldn't care. I won't care. Camera is not focusing. It's pretty smooth. It's rolling pretty smooth, and it should do its job, what it's meant to do. How the chain tensioner looks like. Just a wheel, a plate from that side, this side. Right now the plate that I put behind this is touching the wheel, so I'll have to remove this and grind down the mount below the plate that holds these bolts to the frame. And what else that I noticed is that once when I turn the wheel by hand, this tends to move forward. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make I'm thinking I'm gonna get another plate and join this and this, just a simple plate, so that it doesn't move backwards. See, as you can see, this moves. All it needs is a tension this way, and it's tight enough. And so I'll go and find what's in the scrap and get that and mount it here.